I think I was first in kindergarten when I told my mom that I want to become a doctor.
I always done that I want to become a lawyer.
By kind of marks do you get? Do you think you'll ever become automobile engineer?
My experience in school was very different from my experience in college.
Everybody care about your marks in school, and in college nobody cares about it.
At one point I was like, how will I cope up?
But there are certain things that people take a decision for your career.
While all my answers were correct, I just didn't use the proper method. I didn't show my calculations, I did not show my working, I just gave the answer.
It will help me to build my own strengths, and I will learn new things.
The other thing which benefited me the most in the college was cultural program.
I think anything is possible. You can become anything, you can be anything.
Catch these super scholars with SLDs share their journey of navigating through higher education.
I got to know when I was in the first grade that I have dyslexia, and it was not me, my parents got to know. And I really don't remember when I got to know. I think it was just like a gradual process in which there was like a self-realization that, okay, I have this.
But the dyslexia diagnosis was very interesting, and I believe I was quite lucky that I got diagnosed when I was in third standard. So I believe I was struggling a lot with my school exams and spellings and errors. And one of the counselor in my school suggested my aunt and my family that you should go for a formal diagnosis.
So around fifth grade, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I did not receive a diagnosis for dyslexia back then. So for the following few years, I struggled with my ADHD. My 10th grade teacher was surveyed, informed my parents that I might be dyslexic and that I could get an exemption for Hindi. And then I started, and that was the first time I got a diagnosis for my dyslexia. I got a mixed diagnosis for dyslexia, dysgraphia, and ADHD around in 2018, 2019.
When I was in school, I was always told that you should not take something which is very language heavy, and biology is something which is very, very language heavy. But I think what overrules is your place of interest more than what you're good at. So even if you're not good at something and you really, really want to do it, you will eventually get good at it. So I always knew that I want to do this. And I think I was first in kindergarten when I told my mom that I want to become a doctor. And the day I was assessed, the special educator who assessed me asked me, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a doctor. And she came out and she told my mom that I think we look at a doctor in the future. And I think she was true because I'm here. And I think that's it. In fact, even when I was choosing my subjects in 11th, 12th, I was told that you're good at maths. So you should take physics, chemistry, and maths and do engineering because that's more aptitude based and you will be able to learn maybe better. But I was very adamant that this is what I want to do, and even if I don't score well, I'm going to do this.
I wanted to take law, and I had been this was my decision since third grade. I always done that I want to become a lawyer. When I was in my 11th, 12th, I decided that I want to pursue corporate civil law. I want to go into heavy litigation, but I want to pursue corporate civil law, work in a very good company, and I had everything ready in my mind. So I gave the exams, I gave everything, I gave my CLAT, I gave my, you have something called ALET, which is for NLU Delhi. I gave all these exams. And of course, these were very tough because these exams tested your logical reasoning, it tests your verbal ability, it tests everything, general knowledge. So it's a long exam which I gave. And I got a very good university. I got selected into NLU Patala, and I was happy with my choice about having NLU Patiala. I then spoke to some people, some advocates, some young lawyers, and they shared the journey about how you need to read a lot and how you need to maybe you cannot go with the terms that are wrong in front of the judge. You have to, you can't sound as if you just read something and you came in the morning. You have to be accurate, to the point. So that really impacted me, and that made me slightly unsure that should I take NLU and should I actually go to that space.
There have been a lot of instances in my school also where teachers have called me in the front and they would ask, what do you want to be? and I really wanted to be an automobile engineer because I was really interested in cars and those kind of things. And I'm standing in front of the whole class, and she tells me, "What do you want to be?" And I say this, and the teacher is asking in front of, by kind of marks do you get? Do you think you'll ever become automobile engineer? Do you think you should think about something else? And then the whole class is laughing, and these kind of instances were very common. And
This was never really an issue for me because I loved maths, I love science. I've been very good at maths and science. I was a part of the IOQM merit list in my 11th grade, and I was performing very well in my JEE coaching. There was really never another choice for me, actually. I could not have taken commerce, it bored me to death. I could not have taken arts, I didn't have the aptitude for it. And was left science. Well, I didn't face any hesitation from my parents. Everyone was really supportive.
My experience in school was very different from my experience in college. I was very lucky in school because I come from a very inclusive school. So we had summer programs, we had classroom intervention, and we had remediation. So I was taught to learn a certain way. They would teach me teaching techniques, like making placards, writing, focusing more on question answers, or focusing more on not mugging up but understanding what you're reading. And that was a major focus of me, and also illustration. Like I would make a picture, and then I would learn, okay, like this is how like a river meets, for example, like we learn the how a small river meets an ocean. In college it was very difficult because there was nobody to help me. So it was a lot of content, and you're on your own. And my parents don't come from a medical background, so I was completely on my own.
My school my experience in my school and my experience in my college was drastically different. So my experience throughout my school days was really horrible, and my college days were really nice. And if I speak about my experience in school, uh, I would say no. Firstly, major thing that comes to my mind is nobody wanted to be my friend. There was no teachers that supported. There was nobody who treated me as a normal child in the class. There was always some or the other issues that people had. And that was my experience. Like throughout my school life, I don't believe I've had any sort of friend circle. I would say, there are been instances right now as well where I have met people who were from the same school, and they had no idea who I was because I was almost like an invisible child throughout my school life. Moving to college, the thing was completely different. Everybody cared about your marks in school, and in college, nobody cares about it. Because I was not having the social distancing that people used to maintain from me, I could make friends, I could create certain bonds with people. uh, I was a bit more confident as an individual. So I started working since my first year of my college. And it's been 8 years I've been working. So I finished my master's and my job.
When I joined Amity University, I didn't have much problem with the professors because my HOD, Kavita and Dipurkar, had made sure that all my professors are aware of it. But I had a very tough time with my peers. I mean, for them to explain कि dyslexia है क्या. First day when I went, they asked me, what does dyslexia mean? Because I have dyslexia. उसका मतलब, and even my seniors were not aware of it.
In college, different type of challenges started to show up. And these were not the challenges from the social peers. These were challenges more from the administrative standpoint. Now, in colleges, because there was not a very uh, set structure for dyslexics, there were instances where the colleges are not going to give you a writer. They will not arrange a writer for you, so you have to find a writer on your own. That's a big struggle, right? Once you're in college, where do you find somebody who's 1 year younger to you? Another thing which has been the most challenging thing, because in my school days I had skipped Hindi as a subject, and once I reached to 11th and 12th standard, because I did not had Hindi, I could not study Hindi in 11th and 12th. I had almost forgotten how to write ko because it was not required. And interestingly, you can get an admission on your physical handicap quota because you're dyslexic into colleges, but you cannot get subjects. So only people who could skip Hindi in 11th and 12th were the people who could take admission in computer science. And because I was not in a 90 percentile, I could not take computer science, but I can take admission in that college, which makes the whole benefit of the quota completely redundant. Because if you can't take the subjects, what's the point of getting into the college, right? That became a very significant challenge. And those kind of administrative challenges, like finding a writer, finding the subjects, finding the correct match in the subjects, became really significantly difficult for me.
I had to really fight to get accommodation, even extra time in my college, because there was lack of awareness. They didn't know if a course like MBBS would even give me extra an hour extra for my exam. But like I found people who were really supportive. So a professor of mine really pushed me to like go to the academic registrar, who really helped me to get an extra hour. If it was not for him, I would not be getting an extra hour.
I gave my CUET. Again, CUET also has a similar procedure where you have to give the exams. You have to give 5 exams according to the course you're selecting to, plus 1 general exam. I got a very good person. I got a 98 percentile in my CUET. I got selected in 2 of the best colleges, and one of them is a dream college for any economist to study. And the second one's a dream college for a female or a woman who want to go into DU. Then the problem was that they were not providing me with the accommodations that I required. So I needed extra time and scribe. That is my right. That's fundamentally there in the constitution. There is a full article and all. There's a whole law made for that. PWD. Then I went to some of these colleges. I asked them that, can you provide me with like one-on-one lectures with the professor? Can I, record the professor? Or can I maybe, let's say I'm not understanding a concept, can you just explain it in bullet points and notes? So the reply that I got for this, when I asked for the notes and the bullet points, he said that you're studying, see, I took political science and economics as a subject for DU because I couldn't take economics. I did not have maths. So you're not eligible for econs or business economics in Delhi University. So I took these 2 subjects, in which in my 3rd year I would have decided which course I would pursue or specialize in. So they said, ma'am, it's a humanities based art subject. इसमें हम notes क्या दें? We'll give you these heavy thick books. आपको वही पढ़ना पड़ेगा. So okay, we understood that point. Then we asked that, can we record the professor? I mean, just the voice. Because I'm an auditory learner, so I just take the phone and I record it, and when I go home, I listen to it, type down my notes, and it's all perfectly. They said, but you will have to ask each and every professor if he or she is willing to do it. So that again made me very skeptical to go for Delhi University. At one point I was like, how will I cope up? I am not getting this help. How will I cope up? Right? Because in school I did get some support. And if I'm thrown into this sea, right, I do still need some support. How will I cope?
I worked so hard. I passed my NEET exam, and I'm like sitting in one of the very amazing colleges of the country. And this professor, she was a physiology professor, and she was taking my viva. And she said, there are these children who have some disabilities, and they come and they don't know anything during my viva. She said this, and I came out and was like crying, and I was like, no, this is nothing personal.
Throughout my college life, I was working so that make sure I have certain skill sets to work, certain skill sets to get into the workforce. So my college used to be from 7 to 12, and usually it used to sometime end on 11 o'clock as well. So right after my college, I used to go to my office, and I used to stay in office till 7:30, 8 or 9 some days, and then I would take a bus to my home. I would reach home by 10:30, 11. I don't have time to write down 10, 15 pages at my speed, being a dyslexic, as notes for any kind of subject. The only time I used to be left, I used to sit with my aunt. She used to dictate answers to me, the content to me, and I used to hear it, repeat it, and by heart it that way. I could not sit and write because it just is not a process that works with me. So I could not build a good rapport with the psychology faculty. And the funny thing that happened is in my second year, I failed all the four psychology papers. And I could not comprehend that if I'm writing 3 to 4 pages with decent quality of answers, okay, now I have also taken a writer because I could not complete my papers. So the college, I had to find a writer, but the college was permitted to have, allowed me to have a writer. Even having a writer, attending 10 out of 10 questions, I could not score above 19. The maximum marks I got was 17, 18, 19. That is it. And the funny thing is, I was very confused that why can't I score 20? Because the moment I score 20 marks, I get 20 grace marks and I clear that subject. So the maximum marks throughout my second year I scored was 19 in a psychology paper. So for the first semester, I attempted, failed in both the psychology papers. I attempted the ATKT, could not clear it. Then second semester, I attempted, failed in other two psychology papers. Then attempted the 4 papers of psychology together in an ATKT exam, could not clear it. And I got very frustrated. Why is this happening? And why cannot score over 20 marks? Right? It was started to feel very fishy. Then because me having KT, I could not take admission in that college. So I had to find another college who would not give me admission in psychology because I had KTs in psychology. But fortunately, a seat got empty at the last moment and I got it. Then in this third year of my college, I had 6 papers of my fifth semester and 4 exams of the uh, previous ATKT. I could clear all 10 exams with around 60% of score. And I could not till date, I cannot make sense. Why can I not score above 20 marks? While I was in college, while I was eligible to get admission in the same college, the day I'm not eligible to get admission in the same college, I can score the whole marks. I can clear 10 paper in one semester, but I could not clear 2 paper in one semester. Um, these kind of few, I would not want to pass any comment on what might be happening, but there are certain things that people take a decision for your career, that what is best for you and what you can do and what you cannot do. So certain people took a decision that I might not be able to do psychology in TY, so decided I could not enter it only, right? And these kind of things do happen very drastically because you don't meet the standard that people want you to meet. So there were significant struggles that I had throughout my college life also.
College life has been horrendous for me. I haven't had a good experience being a dyslexic. So I'll take an example of a recent exam of mine. So I recently received the marks for my MS 205 quiz. I was expecting somewhere around the lines of 13 to 15. I received 2 out of 15. While all my answers were correct, I just didn't use the proper method. I didn't show my calculations. I did not show my working. I just gave the answer. And this has been a problem with me since eighth grade. And that's something that being in a maths major, I need to change myself. I can't blame my dyslexia for this. It's something that I need to change. I need to write proofs in a more rigorous manner. However, moving to other topics, it has been very difficult because in J, even though I had a lot of in J, there were many formulas. But the thing is, I had 2 years of practice to memorize these formulas, to get familiarized with them. And even then, I wasn't familiar with a lot of formulas. But they were of an easier order. With courses now, there's so many formulas and they're so difficult to remember. It's like even though I know the concept, I know which formula I'm supposed to use. It is impossible for me to derive that formula during an exam unless and until I remember it. And I make the errors of shuffling the denominators and numerators. I make the errors of forgetting a minus sign here and there. I make the errors of forgetting a comma. And this is something that I've struggled with a lot. I've requested many professors to allow me to have carry a formula sheet because in higher education, a formula sheet is really not that helpful. It just helps you know what the formulas are. And the questions are not made in such a manner that a direct application of a formula will be able to reveal the answer. You need a deep level of understanding of the core concepts in order to apply the formulas which are required. And many of professors have said no. And a few professors who had open book exams, I was able to perform really well in those courses just because I did not need to memorize the formula. IIT Kanpur has a few compulsory courses. For example, chemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry. They have engineering drawing and they have introduction to electronics. They have physics. I've had trouble with these courses, and I personally requested that I should be allowed to drop engineering drawing because it is not. I just cannot do this course. It is beyond me. I put in a drop application for this course. It was rejected. When I asked why it was rejected, I had an entire scene over there with them telling me that I did not deserve a seat at this college if I couldn't do TA. And yeah, so that was one part of it. And what else? So there's a struggle. There are no accommodations for this. So in 10th grade, I was allowed to drop Hindi because the board realized that I wasn't able to do that. And now they hold this excuse up that there are only provisions for 20 extra minutes on the hour. I feel that the government of India did not make many provisions up under this is because they assume that the higher education institutions would uphold the responsibility on treating this on a case-to-case basis rather than just upholding the 20 minutes on the hour.
I joined a course in Amity. I'd applied for a course in Amity, and then I'd applied for business economics. One thing about Amity, I would want to say, the dean, or whether it's the vice chancellor sir, or if it's our own HOD, Dr. Kavita Indarpurkar, or respected Jayanti Pujari, or anyone for that fact, they had sessions with my parents. They had 3 to 4 sittings. One sitting was with me as well. And it's not as if they just heard what we asked for and they said, okay, we will do it. They came back, they reverted. It was a conversation in both ways because they wanted to know what we want and they wanted to say that, okay, we will provide this. So it's a both two-way communication that was going on. Then when my results came, I think I had to make a decision about which university or which college I want to pursue to. Both were very eye-catching because economics as a stream is also very eye-catching and it can help me to do policy and all. And in Delhi University also, I was pursuing economics. So getting selected to those universities and topmost universities was also very eye-catching. But then I had a seating with the HOD, Dr. Kavita Indarpurkar, and then she told me what all facilities that she can provide. And that is when I myself said that, Mom, look, I want to go to Amity. I do not want to go to DU. I will clearly tell you why I'm choosing Amity over Delhi University. I said, in DU, if I go there, I will be an average and I will just stay there and I will just probably one day get so demotivated that I'm probably an average. In Amity University, I'll get exposure. I will get other stuff. It's a private university. I will get different things. And I will get a lot of, it will help me to build my own strengths and I will learn new things.
The other thing which benefited me the most in the college was cultural programs because that allowed me to sort of develop the other communication skills, speaking in other classes, announcements, interacting people, managing time, and those kind of things. That while I was working through other college became really significant for me. Life which I had in college, the only advantage or benefit I got was accommodations came easy, like the writer, the extra time, the grace mark. I had a friend circle, so I would not feel completely isolated every day. So that is the sort of benefit I had in college.
We're very privileged in our generation, especially to have YouTube and other media platforms. And I used to look at YouTube videos of professors and make my own notes out of those. That really helped, and obviously focusing again on more question based because your main focus is to pass. If you don't pass the year, then you're nowhere. And obviously, for now that I'm in my third year and it's more clinical based, then I love making small diagrams. That okay, if the person is puking, then I'll make a small diagram. The person is puking. There's headache. That really helps because there's so many diseases and you have to really contain the content down. That really helps, and visualization really helps. Like subjects which are more visual, like anatomy especially for me was very, like, I really had a lot of fun because I could see what where is. So that really helped me. I don't blame them for not giving me like a lot of accommodations because in the real world when I have to treat a patient, I won't get lot of accommodations. Obviously, I feel using technology can be of a great advantage because I don't really have to write prescriptions. And in the coming future, we'll all be having laptops and we all can write prescriptions on our laptops. So spellings of those drugs should not be very important, even though like we are marked on it. So I feel certain changes are required, but they come from a very stringent like mindset, and to change that, I think it's a slow process. They're eventually changing. They are very supportive and they do listen to us, so hopefully in a couple of years.
So why are you trying to tell a child that no, go to humanities only or go to arts only, because you know these are the place where you can excel and the other places requires you to think on your feet? Actually, I would like to point out that people who have these dyslexia or these disabilities tend to think a lot on their feet because they're forced to think. You can't write, but you can think, and that's the power that we use. We use our intellectual power to answer. We're creative, we're very innovative.
People around dyslexic should be just aware that, the world is changing. The challenges which you thought to be the challenges are not challenges anymore. They just require certain support to overcome it. Only thing you need to focus on is what is the image that you're building of yourself in your mind. If you think you'll not be able to do anything throughout the school life, don't let your child think like that. Give them exposure, make them feel that they're building something, doing something. So their mind expands, they feel supported and empowered, and they'll do great things.
While suffering from dyslexia, there's different ways you cope from it. There are advantages, there are disadvantages to it, and you have to find your own rhythm to it. Being dyslexic does not mean that you are slow and that you cannot perform adequately. It just means that the testing methods which I use are not made for you. They're made for neurotypical people, not for neurodivergent people.
I think anything is possible. You can become anything, you can be anything. You just have to be a good person at the end of the day, and you have to be happy with your own self. And you might fail many times. You might even fail the course. But the most important thing is that you tried.